I'd like to acknowledge a few people in the room tonight. Of course, John Murphy, the Chair of Haven. It's fantastic to be here with you, John, for the AGM. Ken Marchingo, the CEO of Haven. Members of the Haven Board. Marie Edwards, my parliamentary colleague in the State Parliament and member for Bendigo West. Greg Bickley, the Liberal Party candidate for the seat of Bendigo federally. And it's great to be here with Greg. I've known Greg for a long time. The Bickley name is synonymous with Bendigo going back 4 generations. He has great connections in the community and I think he'll make a great Member of Parliament. I'd also like to acknowledge Lisa Chesters. I haven't met Lisa yet, but I look forward to meeting you after the meeting, Lisa. Luke Owen from the Bendigo for Homeless Youth. Luke's been entertaining us here, and isn't it fantastic to see local youth actually getting actively involved in helping us to solve the problems for homeless Victorians. Fantastic effort from you guys. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge Anthony Hardy, the Housing Registrar for Victoria. Ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, if we have any here, the tenants of Haven Housing Association. It is a pleasure to be here with you this evening for Haven's annual stakeholder meeting. Haven has experienced considerable growth since it became Victoria's first registered housing association in 2005, and since then they've actually gone from strength to strength. We heard the increase in the size of the balance sheet this year. The numbers just make your eyes water with a business that size. Is fantastic. And Haven now owns or manages more than 1,000 properties in long-term and transitional housing, and also crisis and emergency community housing properties. Haven have a range of housing and support services for Victoria's most disadvantaged people, including aged care, disability services and mental health support. And Haven are now providing their services fairly far afield in Victoria, a lot further afield than just the Loddon Mallee region. And I had the pleasure on my birthday last year, the 11th of August actually, of opening their tram road development in Doncaster, which was a fantastic day. And I know there's also developments in as far afield as Geelong. So Haven are doing, and in Gippsland. So they're doing fantastic work right around the state. Ken is someone who I've known for a long time and who has inspired me along the way. I've been talking to Ken. He's one of the most innovative thinkers in the housing association sector, and I often have a chat with him and he gives me a little bit of advice along the way, and it's fantastic to have those people who you can have those chats with. Yeah. The Haven Herald, a great innovation, and we look forward to seeing that headline that says Chapel Street finished and tenanted. That will be sensational, because we're all looking forward to that very exciting development, actually housing some of our people who need affordable housing here in Bendigo. But I know that I know that Ken's already thinking about future projects, because he's already talking to me about some really innovative future projects here in Bendigo. Tonight is actually an opportunity to update you on the progress of the government's Victorian social housing framework, and we've recently completed 3 months of public consultation about the future of the social housing system in Victoria. The consultation process has been very important in drawing together a range of views and ideas. However, we have to consider the reality of the system that we inherited. Thank you very much. And what we did inherit was a public housing system that was in crisis, a public housing system where the future was at risk. And that's not my words, they're the words of the Victorian Auditor-General. The Auditor-General pointed out that the status quo in public housing is not an option for public housing in the future. We need major reform to ensure that public housing is sustainable in Victoria. And this has been the Auditor-General's view has been reinforced over the past 2 years by not one, but 2 reports from the Auditor-General, and also a report from a state parliamentary committee. In March, the Auditor-General concluded that the future of public housing was at risk and identified a growing structural deficit in public housing and evidence of poor asset management. The public inquiry highlighted poor procedures for access and allocation of housing, and challenges in financing the maintenance and renewal of public housing. In response to the parliamentary inquiry, the government made a commitment to develop a new framework for social housing. The new framework requires us to consider a number of complex challenges, which is why in April we engaged KPMG to run a 3-month public consultation about the future direction of social housing in Victoria. We released 2 discussion papers to guide the consultation: Pathways to a Fairer and Sustainable Social Housing System, and Opinions to Improve the Supply and Quality Housing. To improve the supply of quality housing. The consultation involved tenants, stakeholders and the wider community. We've received more than 1,200 submissions to the 2 papers, and that's a lot of information for us to sort through and to actually incorporate into our policy thinking. We also had more than 560 tenants and members of the community who attended public meetings during the consultation phase, and more than 200 stakeholders also attended meetings during that phase. We sought feedback on 5 main themes: the future options for social housing, rent and tenure, economic and social participation, mutual obligation and growth in supply. KPMG is close to finalising its report on the consultation process, and the government is reviewing and considering the feedback that's in the submissions. We are developing policy options, and they will be further informed once we receive that feedback from KPMG. It's well known that housing associations have a number of unique aspects to them. They can provide a more diverse range of housing for low-income Victorians. They are often embedded in local communities, and they have links to service providers and the community which provide greater support for their tenants. They can match government funding with other supports such as borrowings, land or philanthropic support. And as we develop the new framework, an important part of our approach will be to provide every opportunity for public housing tenants to participate in the social and economic life of the Victorian community. There is no doubt that housing associations like Haven will play a very important role in the future delivery of social housing in Victoria. But what this government understands is that change that affects our tenants needs to be implemented in a sensitive and supportive way. The system should both support in times of crisis and encourage independence where possible. This includes better pathways of support to independence outside the public housing system. Yet we also recognise that for some tenants, a pathway out of public housing is just not feasible. And that's why we've made it clear that aged pensioners and people with a disability or mental illness that is severe and persistent will continue to have secure long-term tenure. The government's new Victorian social housing framework will be announced next year sometime. And as I have mentioned, one of the key planks of the framework will be to increase social and economic participation for public housing tenants. This is also the goal of another major initiative, the establishment of 5 work and learning centres. This was an election commitment from this government to establish 5 work and learning centres, and we actually have announced all of the locations now. Some of them are up and operating and others are just getting off the ground. But our 5 locations are Geelong, Carlton, Moe, Ballarat and Shepparton. And I have a number of other communities, including Bendigo, who are saying, we want one of those. So hopefully we'll be able to roll them out. If these are successful, we'll be able to roll them out to further locations. We're delivering the work and learning centres in partnership with Brotherhood of St Lawrence and local service providers. These work and learning centres are giving people an opportunity to increase their social and economic participation by connecting them to education, training and work opportunities. The work and learning centres also support people to address the barriers to finding and keeping stable employment. The first 2 centres in Carlton and Geelong have been operating since January, and we've seen some great outcomes from those 2 centres. The centres have 366 registered clients. More than half of them are public housing tenants. 114 people have been supported into employment and 118 clients have undertaken training courses. These are great outcomes that we would like to see so much more of in the future. What we want to offer these people is hope, and hope stands for housing, opportunity and a pathway to employment. And we're hoping that that hope will lead to a home, housing, opportunity and meaningful employment. And it will give them the foundation to build a better life for themselves. Finally, in 2012, we are commemorating the 75th anniversary of public housing in Victoria. The Housing Act for Victoria was passed in 1938, and then the Housing Commission was established shortly afterwards. We'd like to encourage everyone to visit our website, the DHS website, and follow the links to the website for the 75th anniversary. And on that website, you can actually share your stories. So if you know people who've grown up in public housing, who've used that as an opportunity to then build a better life for themselves, get them to go on there and tell their story. We want to share these stories with people of what the opportunity of living in public housing has meant to many of our tenants. And we also need to think, while we're celebrating that anniversary of 75 years of public housing in this state, how we can sustain a further 75 years of affordable housing in Victoria. And that's what the new social housing framework is all about. We're taking the opportunity to secure the future of public housing and community housing in Victoria, and we're working with organisations like Haven, who I know put in a terrific submission to the framework consultation, and working hard to ensure that we will be able to continue to deliver both public and community housing in Victoria for those who are in need. Thank you.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Luke Owens. You've probably been wondering who Luke Owens is. You've heard the name a couple of times. Here with me I have Chris Morley on bass, Dave Turpie on drums and Lee Turner. I study a Bachelor of Education at La Trobe University, and about a year ago now there was a grade 4 student in my classroom named Catherine. She was 10 years old, and basically she had learning difficulties, and after a little bit of inquiry I found out she was sleeping out on wet grass overnight, and she basically asked me one day after school finished, "Mr. Owens, where will I be staying tonight?" Which was a bit confronting for myself, being a first year Bachelor of Education. So yeah, as Ken said, I had that mindset of I'd really like to see something done, and obviously there were things being done, but I thought, well, you know, I'm capable and we're capable. So we've been mates for years, myself and the guys, and we got together and wrote a charity single called Home. Please do get a copy. I'm sure you'll enjoy the CD and DVD to follow. And this is our charity single called Home. Please enjoy. Mr. Lee Turner wrote the lyrics, and we all wrote the song together.
Everyone needs a home, a place to feel stable for their future to grow. But there's young people hurting, lost and deserted. They just need a home. Here we are in a place and time where leisure and fortune's on the rise. We've never had it this good before. Caught up in our concerns, complaining how the money burns away. But when the sun goes down tonight, think of those who have to fight. Circumstance stole their basic need. You may not know, 'cause it's not on show. It's right at your back door in your own community. Young people who don't know where else to go, homeless, but they need more than just a roof and a makeshift bed. They need some hope a chance to thrive, to break this cycle in their life, to know that they are not alone. And if there's one thing that we all need, it's universally agreed, it's home. Young people who don't know where else to go, homeless, but they need more than just a roof and a temporary bed. Everyone needs a home, a place to feel stable for their future to grow. But there's young people hurting, lost and deserted, but they can't fix it on their own. Everyone needs a home, a place to feel stable for their future to grow. But there's young people hurting, lost and deserted, they just need a home. Thank you very much.